So like I said, I drove the IONIQ 5 all-wheel drive at the Chicago Auto Show, and they had a little track for you to drive it on in the actual building, which was interesting. But this thing literally spun the tires and was stupid fast. And after I drove it, then I was like, man, you know what, I really want one of these. But I ended up not getting one, especially since they took away the tax credit for the non-US cars. But the IONIQ 5 looks a lot slower than it is. And that's what makes these so fun, specifically in the dual motor version, because this looks like it should have a Nissan Leaf sort of driving feel to it, and it doesn't. And the Kia EV6, in my opinion, looks a lot sportier than this, but this feels just as fast in the comparable model. And it's just, what's really neat is I love having the 3 levels of regen. So I have the 1 pedal drive on now, which they call the I pedal, but then I can put on level 3, level 2, level 1, and then no regen. Well, basically no regen. But there are really 3 distinct, I guess 4 distinct levels to the braking, which is really, really cool. But I like the I pedal because it really does have like a brake pedal feel to it. Like I'm actually hitting the brakes as opposed to like gliding to a stop. And just so torquey, of course, with basically any EV. But I'm gonna put my foot all the way down in sport mode. And here we go. I mean, just incredibly quick. So now I'm gonna dial it back to the eco mode. And then put the adaptive cruise on. So we have the lane centering on along with the adaptive cruise. And one thing that is, Hyundai did such a good job with this vehicle, it's ridiculous. They just did an incredible job. I can actually see how many miles per kilowatt I'm getting. So as I start to keep from going downhill, that's 2.8 right there, which is showing me my average. And then it's showing me I'm just under that as I'm going up this steady incline. And it's just a really good way to keep track of your efficiency. And then another plus is this ride is really good for this kind of vehicle. Very, very impressed by it. And cabin acoustics for the most part, I'm hearing wind noise, but what's crazy is now that I'm looking, like, there's a lot of glass here. And with all that being said, just really, really impressed by how insulated the sound is here. I'm having to talk just a little bit louder than I would in, let's say, like a Mercedes or something, but it's still relatively quiet in here. And once you turn the radio on, which is about I'd say it's a 7 out of 10 system, and that's saying a lot because this is not the premium sound system that you can get. I'm thinking it might be Harman Kardon maybe that comes on these, but or maybe Bose, I'm not sure. But you can get an upgraded sound system in the IONIQ 5, and that's a great system. But even the stock one is good. And another cool thing is I have this setting on now. I'm going to show you what it does. In eco mode, you're using just the rear motor for the most part. But But when you put it in a sport mode, you're using all 4 wheels. And there's just so much going on here. I love how it shows you, hey, you're getting charged in this mode. That's showing your speed there. Just absolutely awesome. And like I said, the iPedal feels incredible. So really neat. I've learned that now, that in normal and in sport mode, you're using all four wheels, but in eco mode, you're just using the back. And overall, in driving like this, I would probably keep it in eco mode, which I'm gonna put it back there, just to see how it changes my driving style. And I guess it doesn't just use the rear wheels, because it's using all-wheel drive now. It might be because I was already in that mode and it hasn't had time to switch back yet. But what's crazy is even in the eco mode, it feels faster than a Nissan Leaf. Yeah, so I guess I lied. It doesn't just use it. Maybe at higher speeds, it uses only the rear wheels for that efficiency, because it's using all 4 wheels now again in eco mode, which is kind of boring. I want to put it back in the sport mode. I mean, this sport mode is just really, really impressive, and I really just love the gauge cluster layout as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, always make sure you turn this lane keeping system off when you're on a back road, because I always forget it's on, and it's always scaring me by giving me a jerk every so often. And I guess I have to go in manually and do that, because it has lane keep assist, and then it also has the lane tracing that you get on the Hyundais and Kias, which is a really good system on a cheaper car. But when you're on the back roads, it's always like bouncing you back and forth, like harshly almost. Which, it's fine, it just gets a little annoying for me. But, I mean, I could basically do this and it'll just bounce me back and forth, so whatever. But I like to drive when I'm in town. I just don't trust a lot of this stuff. And I like to be more alert. But really, really impressed by this car. I just can't say enough about it. Everything from the interior to how the steering wheel feels to how the steering feels is just, I see why it was, I think it was Motor Trend's Car of the Year in 2022. Like, for its first year, Hyundai came hard with it. And specifically with the looks, I think that makes a big difference, because the EV6 is basically riding on a similar, if not the same platform, not 100%. But this just feels so, like, in every way, it feels so good, so refined. I'm gonna give it some power coming out of this corner here. just so fast. Oh, it's so much fun. And I'm trying to think of at least one complaint about this car. I guess the lane keeping system. Other than that though, there's really no big drawback. Now I can't remember if this has the same charging infrastructure as the EV6, because the EV6 does get the, I think it's what is it, something volt, I don't remember, but it's like the fast charging. So you get, I think, 350 kilowatts or something. Just basically the yeah, I think it's 350 kilowatts, the charging infrastructure. That's a big plus, because you can go from like 10 to 80% in 20 minutes or whatever. I don't know if the IONIQ 5 gets that, but if it did, I would definitely pick this over the EV6 and pretty much anything else all day. In terms of just the station wagon, small SUV segment. And even my Mach-E, as much as I love that car, because I love the sporty exterior look of it, this, if somebody gave me one of these, I would definitely sell my other car, because I wouldn't drive it. This is just a very, very impressive vehicle. Now with the tax breaks being gone on them, and they're still $50,000+, and I don't have as much equity as my car as when the market was 100% nuts, I wouldn't trade it. But if I could get one of these at sticker and then get 5 over what I paid for mine, like I was offered at one time, I would do it. Because this is just a really impressive, there's no annoying quirks that I know about. Nothing crazy going on with these. They're just really, really great cars. And please feel free to leave a comment if there's something I missed, like, oh, these are known to catch on fire or whatever. Like, let me know, because I haven't heard anything bad about these, and I see why. But this will bring me to the end of my review of the new 2023 Hyundai IONIQ 5 SEL all-wheel drive.